All right, Satnam, everybody. Congratulations for making it here today. If you found this channel, you know that Kundalini Yoga is the practice for leadership and impact. There's so many different ways to apply this particular practice, and one of them is to explore your spirituality. So that's what we're going to do today. And really speaking, the best way to do that is to have an experience with someone and how they explore these teachings. So I'm really pleased to introduce to you Karen. Karen is just about to graduate from our Kundalini Yoga teacher training program. She's been focused on Kundalini Yoga for over a year now and is really the perfect fit for this conversation. So Karen, thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing your journey with us.
Absolutely.
So, yes, thank you. So let's dive in. What got you interested in Kundalini Yoga?
Yeah, well, I think Kundalini Yoga is more like it came to me. I was practicing yoga for a long time before, even before I moved to Canada. But after giving birth, I had a difficulty adapting to going back to work. I was feeling very stressed and anxious. And I got into the conclusion that I needed to go back to my regular yoga practice. I researched for a studio and I found YogaVision in those days that we have a physical location. So I started going in 2018. And really, as a mom, the only time I had available to practice was lunchtime. So there were 2 days in which there was Kundalini Yoga at lunchtime, and I enjoyed it a lot, even though I had not realized like it's such a special type of yoga. But after the class, I feel like I had gone to therapy because it was so focused on releasing emotions and moving forward.
Absolutely. So the physical practice really drew you in, and you know, as we just mentioned, there's no such thing as a coincidence, no such thing as an accident. And the thing that I find really interesting about Kundalini Yoga is that as your nervous system responds to the practice, and that's really the basis of why it works so well, is that everything starts to get fine-tuned. And as you get more fine-tuned internally, it's easier to open up to hear the messages that the universe has to share. So it's almost like divinely gifted to you. So that's amazing. So how do you think this practice has helped your spiritual journey?
Yeah, I think it have helped me mature spiritually. I was raised Catholic, and I was never exposed to other practices that were not Catholic after my mid-20s. When I started doing some meditation and some vinyasa yoga. But then at the time I was feeling also a little down from the church and didn't want to get too close. But when I start getting more into meditation and practice, I start feeling this sense of peace that I had only felt before in church, like praying to God. It's funny how I feel like I was running away from God, but at the same time, I was getting closer just in a different way. So by practicing yoga, it gave me more in tune with connecting with God, and I respect so much my religious background, but at the same time, I feel like I have learned a different language that goes beyond human traditions. So I can feel excited listening to the Ave Maria in Italian as much as the Japji in Gurunji.
Yes, in Gurmukhi. Yes, and I think that that's all true. And once we strip away what religion has to say, some of the rules and rigidness that sometimes comes in, might I say, the corruption of institutions that are old and have had roots in colonial legacies. I think once we really step away from that and remember that there's really a conversation with the universe, the creative, you know, the creatorship, the oneness that is all of us. And I think that's really where yoga comes in very handy. You know, it bypasses man-made structures, quote unquote, man-made structures, and moves us to a place of our universality. Does that resonate for you?
Yeah, totally. I think it's more about the personal growth hand in hand with the spiritual growth.
Yes.
than following traditions.
Yes. Yes. And sometimes those traditions serve, and sometimes, they're no longer, they no longer hold the reverence that they might have at some earlier point. And so when we can step back and find a way to access that same connectivity without all the dogma, without all the rhetoric, without all the personal interventions between you and your creator, you really come to a place where you can have that direct dialogue. And I think that that's really what Kundalini Yoga has offered me as well. So I'm curious and happy to note that we share that particular aspect, because whether you come to it for physicality, emotional wellness, mental health issues, I think at the root of all this is a spiritual connection as well. So that's very, very powerful and such a great way to heal. So tell us a little bit about the practice that has helped you most along your way.
Yeah, one amazing thing about Kundalini Yoga is that there is set practices for different developments that we may be looking for at a physical level or an emotional level or a psyche level. So every practice that I do have a special meaning to me and a purpose. But one that I particularly hold close to my heart is Kirtan Kriya. I remember, unfortunately, at the beginning of 2020, just 2 weeks before the pandemic, I had to call 911 due to domestic abuse. And it was the most traumatic experience I think I've lived. So I remember being on the police station waiting to give my declaration to the police. And I was so nervous, I just wanted to run away, but instead I stayed seated in the station and start breathing and practicing Kirtan Kriya.
Wow. Okay. And I've heard this many times before, that there's a certain steadiness in that particular practice that helps create a situation where you can find solutions and you can find a resolution. So in your case, that means actually reporting your harm was done to you, and actually going to have that resolved. So let's explore that particular practice, because it's one of the foundational practices of Kundalini Yoga. And so just to be clear, this is Kirtan Kriya. Kirtan means divine song. And there's a style to it that has many, many benefits. It's been studied at Harvard Medical School. There's a lot of science backing this particular meditation. So let me set it up. We're going to do a very short and condensed version. Karen's going to demonstrate. But let me set it up for you. We're going to be using a mantra, the mantra Sa, Ta, Na, Ma, universe, life, death, rebirth. And as you make these sounds out loud, Sa, start by touching your first finger to your thumb. Perfect. Sa, Ta, Na on the ring finger, Ma on the baby finger. Beautiful. So you can just continue that. Make sure that there's a good amount of pressure as you press your thumb into your finger. And you'll be chanting that mantra out loud, and then as a whisper, then silently, and then we'll come out of that pattern again. All right, so sitting up tall and straight, align your neck and your spine. And imagine a ray of light coming in through the top of your head and beaming out like a laser beam out through your third eye. Good. So you hold that gaze and imagine yourself connected to the universe itself. So you're getting downloads of information and then purveying that, projecting that out in front of you. It's a very powerful imagery. All right, so let's begin now, 1 minute out loud. And I'll start the chanting and then give you some space to do that on your own. Okay, let's begin. Sa, ta, na, ma, 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 sa, ta, na, ma. Now as a whisper, sa, ta, na, ma. Good. So keep whispering. Good. And then go into a silent version. So keep moving your fingers, keep the mantra moving in your mind, Satanama, and allow yourself a little bit of space, a little bit of quiet so that you can explore this meditation. So as I mentioned, this is a very shortened, condensed version, just to give you a little taste. And the full length videos are available on YogaVision online here on YouTube. And you can explore those in its full length. It's called the Power Pack. And I've paired Kirtan Kriya with Sat Kriya. Very powerful practice, really good for clearing the subconscious mind. Let's move back into a whisper. And now out loud.
Sadanamam, 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 Satanama.
Good, beautiful. Inhale very deeply. Hold the breath. Bring your hands above your head. Give it a good solid shake, 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 shake. Good. Let the energy disperse. Good. And then slowly settle your hands down. Just taking a moment now to explore and relax. All right. Thank you, Karen, for that demonstration. So Kirtan Kriya, very, very powerful, very moving. Now, Karen, we share this in common as well. When I first started my teacher training, this was the one Kriya that really spoke to me. And in the first month of our time as yogis in training, my teacher said, a woman who does this for 90 days, 31 minutes a day for 90 days can have whatever she wants. And I got very greedy and I asked for, and sure enough, the thing that I asked for came. And the thing is, what I've noticed is that you have to be very careful about what you're asking for because, you know, you have to deal with the repercussions. And that's the truth of Kundalini Yoga. It's very powerful. It has the ability to help you attract, and your intentionality has to be solid. It has to be coming from a place of worthiness and respect and self-honoring, not from a place of desperado or, you know, poor me or victim stance, because if you show up like that, it's going to give you all the things that will reinforce that message. So I'm very glad you were able to use it as a way to untangle yourself from something harmful. That's really powerful.
Yeah.
Okay. So what would you say now to anyone else who's going through a challenge like that? How would you help them to navigate their practice or to take the next step into their spiritual journey?
Yeah, I think difficult times or experiences come when we haven't learned something. So yeah, more than anything, it's a learning experience. So let's try to learn as quickly as possible to, it says pain, it's inevitable, but suffering is optional. And I think the way to, keep growing, it's just by learning and not staying in the state of being a victim or, just feeling sad or depressed, which it's totally understandable in difficult situations. But when you trust, if not in yourself, and you are able to put your trust in something bigger, then I think you can move on.
So very powerful, that turning inward and turning all of those things into your soul's journey. Like you said, soul just wants to learn. The piece of us that's closest to God or to the universe just wants to learn. And it's the personality that says death, divorce, disease. I don't want anything to do with that. And we kick and we punch and we feel resistant to those lessons. So congratulations on coming through so beautifully. I know that, you've had very honest moments with yourself, and that's required too. We're not talking about toxic positivity here. We're talking about feeling the feelings, understanding where they all fit in, and then making some solid decisions about how to do it differently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Congratulations on turning inward into your practice. Okay. Some wrap-up questions so that we get to know you a little bit before we sign off for today. What's your favorite song for a rainy night?
Yeah. I don't listen a lot to this song, but I really like what it says. It's what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And what are the chances? And I also have a song in Spanish that I love. It's Espíritu Libre, which translates as free spirit. And it's about being loved, being your own self.
Okay. You'll have to sing that for us next time. What's the food that makes your mouth happy?
I know. I am a little bit of a foodie, like most people from Peru. And I feel so lucky living in Toronto. Our cuisine variety is super extent. I can get bored here, but obviously Peruvian food has a special place in my table.
Okay. I mean, when it all comes to pass, home is where the heart is, right?
Yeah.
What's your most favorite breathing technique?
Yeah, it's the most simple one, a long, deep breathing, because you can do it anywhere. You start being conscientious and using the whole capacity of your lungs, which we usually don't use. And it has the capacity to bring you back to the present moment, hearing your breath, allowing you to feel that you are alive. And then one that I would haven't mastered yet, or one that I'm not very good at, is observing my own breath, because I always try to change it to deep, long breathing, and just observing sometimes is difficult. I tend to want to control it.
Yes. Watching the natural flow of breath is the way to bring consciousness. So a good observation, lifelong challenge. Good luck with you. Okay. What are you reading right now? What book is on your night table?
Yeah. I'm only a couple of hours away to finish When the Body Says No by Gabor Mate. And I also have just started, and it is on my night table, The Body Keeps the Score by Basil van der Kolk. I haven't read a lot about that yet, but both of them are about the links between emotional trauma and physical wellness or mental wellness. So I think it's super powerful, and I feel extremely passionate about the opportunity that there is for yoga to help prevent and support the recovery of different types of conditions or illnesses.
Absolutely. And Gabor Mate has really advanced the theory and the understanding of how to treat addictions. And his stance is that addiction, it's really not about the substance itself. It's the pain that was the precursor to the addiction that that person is hoping to soothe. And that there's no crime in soothing a hurt. Rather, what is the hurt that has happened? What's the harm that's happened? And treating that particular place rather than to stop the particular dependency, whatever that happens to be. So I think, you know, you're really onto something with now starting to pursue those books. They're also on our reading list for the Kundalini Yoga teacher training program. So being trauma informed is really, you know, big job of a yoga teacher these days because of the climate that we're in and the world in general coming to a lot more consciousness and understanding about our childhood, what we've experienced and how that impacts us as grown adults, as grown women, and really allowing us to reclaim the power that was always there. You know, despite the messages, despite how we were treated, that there's life beyond trauma as well. And I think you're right. Kundalini Yoga has so much to do with that because its beginning stance is let's work on the nervous system, which is where all that stuff resides.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
It is, absolutely. And there's lifelong learning here. So we're on a great adventure, lifelong adventure. Final question now. Which place do your ancestors come from?
Oh, we are mainly from Peru. Actually, my grandfather's and my last name is Manco, which is the name of the founder of the Incas Empire, according to the legends. So yeah, I have a very profound love for all my friends and family from Peru, Peru itself. And I think it's me learning to be a Canadian at the same time. It's been a long journey, and definitely yoga has helped me with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of trauma in immigration. There's a lot of trauma in cultural adaptation. And I share that love of Peru with you. We have a lot in common, actually. I spent a few weeks in the jungle in Peru and learned a lot from the plants and the trees and the animals, and really woke to a sense of the natural wonder of life and how, you know, how the natural world knows of us and knows who we are and how we are. And that was very powerful learning. So on that note, thank you very much for being part of our conversation today. Satnam, and your spiritual journey is all of our spiritual journey. I'm really glad that you're safe and that you're finding your way through, and that your practice has been part of your steady state for that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Most welcome. Good luck with your graduation, Satnam, and see you all very soon next time. Now, if you're looking for a little bit of insight into how Kundalini Yoga teacher training works, head over to my website, yogavision.com, and maybe you'd like to start off with a numerology session. And you can do that by booking through yogavision.com. Send me a message, leave a little message in the chat below, tell Karen, send her love for her journey, and share your own journey and how far you've come since you started practicing.
Yes.
Lots of love, everybody. See you next time.